מזמור לדוד, השם רועי לא אחסר, בנות תשע.
The Lord said unto Jonah, Rise, go down to Nineveh and cry against the town. Things go wrong there. Since flood is rising, quite my holy feet with filth is come to lick. He spoke, and Jonah rose, ready to run, but not the way ordained by the Holy One, because he loves to take the prophet's road. Afraid of towns, in deserts he would dwell, living to peace and loneliness enfolded, rather than be stoned by the folk he scolded. So he went down to Japheth's port, and found and took a sailing boat for Tarsus bound. He paid his fare to the chief of the sailors, to flee the Lord, as thieves do flee their jailers. But lo, the Lord had shaped the mighty gale, and let it loose above the waters still, and from the sea rose many a tower, steep of lofty waves, that would bounce, fall, and leap, as though a Nineveh were built upon it, and fell back in its ruins every minute. The mast broke, the boat turned, it all but sank, no plank remained loyal to fellow planks. The panic-stricken sailors, almost mad, had now thrown overboard all freight they had, with faces lashed with horrid brine and foam, each of them howleth his own God's sacred name. Jonah, having fumed as much as he could, with staggering feet into the tween-deck trod down the stairs to the bottom of the ship. At last he fell there into dazed half asleep, rolling to and fro on the shaking floor. And there the steersman, coming to explore the damage, stumbled over him and said, What art thou doing here, thou sluggard? Who art thou? Rise and cry the bloody name of the God who may help us all the same. Or hast thou no God? Which land bore thee, stranger? Is it not thou that brought on us this danger? Which town cleansed thee, her citizen, thou rascal? What made thee cross the foul waves with our vessel? And unto him said Jonah, I'm a Jew. 'Tis from the Lord of heavens that I flew. What have I got to do with this world's sin? 'Tis only peace my soul seeks, pleasure in. Let it be God's concern, never mind. I answer not for others' pain and crime. Let me hide in the bottom, for I think that I would rather drown here than be sink. But if you choose to put me ashore, it should be on the fringe of some far lonely wood, where I could starve on acorns and fruits rotten, but live in peace, and of the Lord forgotten. But the steersman retorted, growing angry. What babblest thou, shores and woods? Oh, hang it, where's the wood? Where could we put thee out? Into the sea alone? And we, no doubt, will do so when a boat shall carry none whose heart is pressed by I know not what sin. Now I'm sure our faith was caused by thee. Thou saidst that from thy God's curse didst thou flee. No devil can protect whom Gods pursue. Haman, come quickly and howl up this Jew. And 8 hands grabbing his feet, his arms and throat, lest he should cause the peril of the boat. For stone and lead are heavy, but heaviest is one who by a secret vice is pressed. But Jonah cried and wailed and groaned as he was swung by them well high above the sea. He fell away with this unwanted one. And by this flesh, the sea then calmed down like a graved monster receiving food. And the sailors already wept and stood and knelt and bent their heads in thankfulness, making rash vows to gods and goddesses. The rainbow then appeared far in the east. The marble smooth sea stirred not in the least.
מזמור לדוד.
And the Lord had the foresight to prepare for Jonah a big whale, and bid it fan his way, mouth open for to swallow him in a wash of salt water, scales and fin, so that Jonah slipped headlong through the throat unbroken, lengthwise down the slimy root to the stomach, and not a single hair was lost from his head. Soon he woke up there, dimly conscious, and then with dizzied sight he blinked into a soft, fish-stinking night. And so he came into a monstrous thing, a living cradle that did blindly swing, and dwelt there 3 days and 3 nights alone, in the whale's belly, where midnight and noon were both alike, where only thoughts did rise with serpentine flames, soared to the skies like conflagration from a lost cave's floor. And Jonah did then his dear Lord implore out of the fish. I'm crying unto thee, hear me, O God. From depths to thy high sea I'm shouting, I'm cursing, I'm wailing. From the mouth of my coffin I'm howling. For thou hast into deep darkness thrown me, and cast me in the whirlpools of thy sea, and the dangers of waters round me wash, and my head is in seaweed's net immersed. Thy ample billows have me overridden. On the bottom of the universe I'm hidden into the depths of thy world, fallen down who used to perch on top of its high crown. Once I was Jonah, but who am I now? Thy sacred secrets I no longer know. Thy bouncing waves keep tossing this huge fish, and I'm locked up in its slimy flesh. And he breathed, but his lungs he could not fill by sucking widely at the fish gills, which were a throng of palpitating flutter. The breath was scarce he filtered from the water. The bulky fish did roll and pant in pain, and threw the unwonted burden up and down, while Jonah, vexed by nausea and hunger, could hardly bear that stinking darkness longer, and howling like a wolf caught in the trap, he groaned. My Lord, oh, thou hast locked me up. Thou hast put me in the darkest depths of mire, from where thy radiant face I can't admire. Nevertheless, the blind caves of my eyes will on thy holy temple hold their gaze. I've shot the arrow of my yearning glance, and oh, this nightly darkness split at once. Through faith my sharp attention has gained strength. I see thee, God, thou canst not hide at length. Oh, so in vain I tried to hide from thee. Thou followed me in wild storms of the sea. Thou hast thy sluggish servant tortured hard, breaking my horns of solitary pride. The fouler depths I'm falling into, though, the brighter will thy face be in my view. I see that fleeing thee puts one in trouble, He who shuns suffering shall suffer double. But neither canst thou flee me, O my Lord, though in this fish I'm turned into salt lard. The wave then jolted with a violent shock. With both feet Jonah gave a hefty kick. Both of them felt a torment new and fresh. The fish heard Jonah, Jonah heard the fish. And quoth Jonah, "Who made me dance like this? Who will not let me find my death in peace? Thou hast pickled me with thy rolling brine. Thou whipp'st me like a top, a toy of thine. The soul in me has utterly diminished. But my dear Lord, he does not let me perish. The shepherd wishes me to be his dog and save my soul from rotting in some bog. Thou comest, O Lord, to unlock all my locks. I run with vain words to steer thy flock. My prayer has climbed the steep and airy heights. It has come as far as thy holy might. Whip me, oh whip me, Lord, for thou art wise. Whip, lest I should forget my earnest vows, for he will find no happiness whatever who wastes all his life in false endeavor. Thus spake Jonah. The foes they came then, and the Lord, he bade the huge fish swim to land. It went and spat out Jonah on the shore, vomiting with him oil, bile, and gore.
מזמור לדוד.
And God spoke unto Jonah once again. I am thy God. Thou shalt rise and be gone. Go to Nineveh. Stop not on the way, and preach the words I've given thee to say. And Jonah rose, to Nineveh he went, where one could walk about 3 days on end, 3 days along her winding streets and ways without findings one way out of the maze. And Jonah went, and on the first day there, crowded with tents, he found a star-shaped square and stood among the vendors, who at the sight of his wild beard and sticking, sludgy suit of ragged clothes with laughter round him roared. But Jonah cried as ordained by the Lord. Hear the words that the God of heavens hath sent. Reform thyself, Nineveh, and repent. O thou wilt be by brimstones set ablaze and swallowed by the ground in 40 days. Thus spake Jonah, and stood with eyes bloodshot, his tortured face bathed in a flood of sweat. But the vendors around him went a laughing, bargaining, eating, quarreling, and chaffing, and Jonah, sad and frightened, had to steal away in stench of melons and whale. The second eve he found another square, with actors and with mimics playing there, moving and sent with snake-like nimbleness before the folks they shamelessly did kiss. There Jonah, climbing to the topmost row of seats, loosed from his shaggy mouth a howl that made the people think a bullet come. They all fell silent, shocked, and stared at him, while God was roaring from him in a blast. Dread Nineveh, thy Lord, repent and fast. The sun will set still 39 days more. The town will then be drowned in fire and gore. The women gathered around him as he stopped, escorted Jonah in a foolish group. Clinging to him, his feasting did they smell, with dreamy eyes they scented his grim soul. The third day, with the women all around, the square before the royal house he found. They knew him there and waited for him. They showed him to the hall, where the mighty lay beside the golden plates and cups and knives, attended by a host of slender slaves, and other slaves were dancing naked, were slaughtering one another with sword for fun. On top of an ornate and rich pillar Jonah was put then for to preach, to prophesy them that the world was ending. Then Jonah cried a terrible, soul-rending curse on the king and on the royal court, on the women and on the palace fort, a curse on mimics and on actors' pack, a curse on craftsmen and on vendors slack, a curse on entire Nineveh he roared, and hopping down he broke loose through the guard and ran across the hall where statues stood, through chambers, corridors and gardens proud. He swam across a pond, climbed down a grid, all down the gutters channeled and he slid, through streets, up ramps, along the walls he ran, right out of Nineveh to open plain, with just one vision in his troubled heart: the town will be destroyed and punished hard. And he went to the desert, where the grass, devoured by locusts, became very sparse, where the traveller who the hot scent trod had his soul burnt unless properly shod. And there he made a vow that he would stay there for 30 days, would fast and pray, and would not leave until with brimstone's flames the far horizon would be red in blaze, until a mighty rumble would be heard, and the big castle stars would fall to earth, and no one in Nineveh would survive. Each one would die with father, mother, wife, with brother, sister, daughter, and with son, like Jeroboam's family had done. Thenceforward, coming down from 38, he kept a careful counting of the dead, crying to his God, "Hear my voice, O Lord, renowned avenger, listen to my word. A wild worm unto worms thou didst me send. They lived against thee without thy punishment. I would have rather sat in a desert, though, starving roots and locusts as I am now. But fast and vast for thee are figs and lice, for silent among rogues I share the vice. Kin will be made responsible for kin. Each man must go the way thou sendest him. But the wicked will snare at what is good. See how they mock at me, O heavenly good. They pilloried thy servant. Yes, it happened. For truth and sermons are too weak as weapons. Fine words and prayers here do not much avail, while battles and fire's arrows never fail. I, Jonah, who have never loved but peace, war and ruin am now forced to preach. Wage war on them, my Lord, strike them down, kill the warped race, destroy the wicked town, because we can't hope neither peace nor truce, till proud Nineveh's flames reach not high heaven's roof." 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 weeks came and passed, and the 38th day was come at last. The morn, the noon, the evening came. All day Jonah was staring where the huge town lay. It sank into the night then. Still there came from all Nineveh not a single flame. For Jonah's words, the Lord, he could perceive, had formed in some hearts the shoots of belief, like a good seed that falls onto good ground, like hidden embers stirred up by some wind. And he thought, I have time. I'm in no haste. The centuries, my servants, do their best. They shall blow of my spark a mighty flame, though silly Jonah shall not see this come. Jonah shall go, others come in his stead. But Jonah did not know the thoughts of God. Into a mighty fit of rage he fell and said, Since I first came out here to dwell, people have daily come to me from town to ask me, first with mocking mien or frown, then more and more repenting and afraid, how many days were left? To them I said the number truly, Lord, thou hast me slandered, for I did lie, and so did my calendar, and God did lie too. Was that thy intent? Thou hast confounded those who would repent. But it was plain, I should have known it, yeah, that's why to Tarsus I would take my way. For thou art he who turneth bad to good, he who diverts the evil from its road. But back unto thee now my soul I gave, for 'tis my wish rather to die than live. To make the tale complete, when Jonah had left Nineveh for good, here must we add, he turned round towards the east, facing the town, and there beside a large left gourd sat down, whose tendrils webbed the branches of a tree which had dried out in the heat, so that he had shade for his parched head, and from below that bough all day he watched Nineveh glow through the radiant veils of distant haze. And with that gourd was Jonah greatly pleased. And then one morning the great Lord did form, early at dawn, a tiny little worm, and sent it to the gourd, its roots to gnaw, so that the trailing tendrils should hang low, so that the leaves should curl and twirl, and anon the plant should droop, withered before the sun. It dried as thin as it had grown so tall, and was there no more bough or shade at all. And next the Lord, he shaped a mighty heat, and scorching, parching east and winds with it, and it happened that the sun's torrid rays struck Jonah's head, and made him dizzy and dazed. They made him languid, and he felt the ground and sky began to sway and move around as if again at sea. His maw was sick with nausea, and of thirst his tongue was thick, and he but moaned, O Lord, my soul receive, for 'tis my wish rather to die than live. The Lord said unto Jonah, Dost thou deem it just to grieve thus, and to put the blame on me because of that one broad-leaved gourd whose folly is has ceased to give thee shade? And Jonah answered it in a burst of wrath, Yea, I'm justly angry unto death. And God then answered him, Thou deemest right to pity a gourd that grew up in one night, and that wither away in another, about which thou hast hardly had to bother, to which no care, no attention is paid so long thou couldst but loll in its cool shade. Shall I not pity Nineveh than worse, that has been built in many 100 years, whose stars do race to heaven in their rival heads? that like a conquering army has far spread into the desert, and wherever his street like a picture book history hath writ, lies open. Shall I Nineveh not spare that pointeth to the future with each spire? The town that like a giant torch has burnt through ages, and generations have learned the lessons by her light, that long could stand the fierce assaults of deserts, winds, and sand, where many 100,000 folk have dwelt, that have their homes with toil and patience built, not knowing, and who could tell in the end what they made with right and what with left hand? Leave it to me. I will distinguish fine. Thine are the words, the arms, they shall be mine. Thy task, Jonah, is to preach, mine to act. Nineveh shall sometime perish, in fact as shall the good, and Jonah. There will come new Ninevehs in the long course time, new Jonahs will come too. As from the seeds of this plant new good tendrils will proceed, and 40 days or years or thousands more do mean the same in lips of God, the Lord. Thus spake God, and Jonah made no reply. The sun was jogging on across the sky. Afar and swinging in the heat and haze, the terraced towers of Nineveh did raise. The monstrous town lay like a panting and exhausting beast, all stretched out on the sand.
מזמור לדוד.
Words have faithlessly deserted me. How it is, when the brook's banks burst, I feel now, so aimless, abandoned, and uncontrolled. I drift along all my vain words of old, like errant floods carry along with them uprooted hedges, marking stakes and dams. Oh, may my Master make a solid bed for my drifting course. Pray that I may head down to the ocean. Oh, that to the joints of my verses the rhymes he may appoint already made. Oh, may I use as help his holy Bible I keep on my shelf. Oh, that I, who, as JonahEng evaded, first fled him, then like Jonah in the whale did, descended into the depth, live in hot darkness of all the earthly torments, not for just 3 days, but for 3 months or 3 years or 3 centuries. Oh, that I may see ere a still darker, eternal whale would swallow me down its mighty throat for good. My old voice come back. Then having arranged my words in blameless ranks, I unafraid could speak his words with all my bad throat's might, never tiring of it from morn till night, until powers in Nineveh and on high would let me speak, and would not let me die.
מזמור לדוד. השם רועי לא אחסר, בנות דשא ירביצני, על מנוחות ינהלני.